Hey guys, and welcome to Tnashi's Movie Corner. Today we will be discussing Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which came out in 1999. And just so you know, I will be reviewing all the Star Wars movies. I will try to do one once a month, and at some point I'm even going to review the Clone Wars, because I think that's very relevant. So let's start off with this. I do not hate Star Wars The Phantom Menace as much as a lot of people seem to hate it. A lot of people give it crap. A lot of people let note of its flaws, in which there are definitely notable flaws, which I will get into. A lot of people tend to overlook the good stuff or think that it's very minor compared to the flaws. And people actually seem to forget that the original trilogy, as much as people enjoy it, and I personally enjoy it, it has a lot of flaws to it as well. So I just want to get that out of the way. Also, this movie stars Ian McGregor, Liam Neeson, Natalie Portman, as well as Jake Lloyd as Anakin Skywalker, Ian McDiarmid, who's reprising his role in these movies, and he's Senator Palpatine. Obviously, there will be spoilers here, so I just want to say that right off the bat. But anyway, Ian McDiarmid being in this movie was really great. It was great to see him. And I'm going to say off the front, Ian McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi did a brilliant job. Really liked him. He's one of the strongest points in the prequel trilogy. And Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn. I actually enjoyed him as Qui-Gon Jinn. A lot of people don't even mention him, but I did enjoy him for the role that he did. Jake Lloyd as Anakin was not good. He's not a good kid actor. I think he came off of what movie was it? Home Alone 3. That's what it was. So he was in Home Alone 3. He didn't do a good job here. He didn't sell me on being Anakin or just being a kid, I guess. Natalie Portman is Queen Amidala and Padme. I think she did all right. Her tone for Queen Amidala, it was a little surprising the first time I saw it, but I'm actually fine with it. And her as just Padme, I'm actually okay with that character, where at first I wasn't quite on board, but her acting's kind of, it's okay. There's some hit or misses there, but overall it's alright. So anyway, going with this movie, again, a lot of people compare it to the original trilogy, and this movie's supposed to set up what becomes the Star Wars series. So saying that right off the bat, it's a little disappointing, and I know a lot of people were quite disappointed. They expected this to be the beginning of Anakin's journey to the dark side, to becoming Vader. And that's not really what we got. We got his introduction. So that was disappointing on its own. But we do see how he, starts his journey to become a Jedi. It should have been more prevalent in these movies, in this movie rather, but it wasn't, and it was what it was. And I can actually overlook that a little bit, as much as I would have wanted the other type of film because of what we got. I'm okay with it. It's not as bad as what a lot of people tend to rule it, because we did get to see kind of Obi-Wan's journey a little bit, and I liked Obi-Wan. We get to see Liam Neeson. I like Liam Neeson. We get to see Padme, who becomes kind of a prevalent part of it. We get to see, Senator Palpatine and his kind of manipulation start to go, although I will say there's a couple plot points that question said manipulation, like him wanting to get Queen Amidala to sign the treaty, which would allow the Trade Federation to have control of the planet. But if that happened, then he wouldn't be ruled into power as he ends up being, and the power kind of goal was what he wanted. So I don't really, that part of that doesn't make sense, but is what it is. Also, Jar Jar. Yes, we know Jar Jar is terrible. Jar Jar's just bad. A lot of kids are actually more okay with Jar Jar than adults. It's surprising to me that anyone likes Jar Jar, but there are a few people that do like Jar Jar, and they are mostly children. Jar Jar and that entire arc was kind of a step back in the wrong direction. So, it wasn't as like a killer to this movie as a lot of people pin it on, but it was pretty bad and pretty noticeable. Also want to mention CG. Okay, CG at some parts actually still does hold up a little bit. Looks all right. Other parts not good at all. But you know, it came out in 1999, and the thing with a lot of people cry for animatronics, and I do see some of that because some animatronics do hold up better than CG. CG has more development over the years, whereas animatronics doesn't have as much going for it, especially now. So I kind of see a little bit of it, but you know, in the original release of this movie, they used an animatronic Yoda, a puppet Yoda, and it looked terrible. And when they went back and put a CG Yoda in, I much prefer that. So, just putting it out there. Also, I really like the pod racing. A lot of people, you know, well, I won't say a lot of people. There's some people that like it, some people don't. I actually like it. I think it's a great spectacle. It gives kind of a little insight into what Anakin is as a kid, being able to do all of this. And you see kind of the parallels with Luke, which is kind of good to see that. And it was just visually, it was entertaining, and it wasn't it was constructive to the plot as far as what they needed to do to get the winnings. So it was nice in that sense. I do really like Darth Maul. I wish Darth Maul had proceeded on to episodes, 2 and 3, preferably, but it's just another character that looks cool and kind of acts cool that gets taken out in a ridiculous manner. So, it is what it is there. That being said, like I said, I do like Darth Maul. I like the double-bladed lightsaber. I like him taking on 2 Jedi. I like the whole end battle. I like the first battle with Qui-Gon. I wish that was a little longer. But I really enjoyed that. The only thing I didn't enjoy out of it was his quote-unquote death scene, because we know, from later on how that pays out. But as far as Obi-Wan beating him, I didn't understand that. That could have been done better. So, going with that, and like I said, I like Queen Amidala in the end scene where she's storming, the palace and everything, trying to gain control and all that. That's cool. I actually don't mind the kind of government scenes where they're going back and forth over what to do about the planet. I actually like that. I like that because it's contradictory to what we see in episodes 4, 5, and 6, because how we know it's actually ruled and everything, so it gives you the opposite end of it. And I like to see just, how Senator Palpatine kind of took control and made it go his way on that. So I enjoy that, which a lot of people seem to be against. So I'm perfectly fine with that. As far as R2-D2 and C-3PO, I mean, I knew they were going to end up in this movie somehow. You have characters involved in this, and they were involved quite a bit in the main trilogy, so I knew they were going to be brought in. The way that they were brought in with C-3PO being worked on by Anakin, people didn't like that. I don't mind it. It is what it is. It's not like terrible. It's not bad. It's a fairly good way to bring him into the movie, because I didn't know how. And of course R2-D2, and R2-D2's involvement, which wasn't, maintained to Anakin. So it's not like both of them were in the same thing. So that's fine. The midichlorian count. A lot of people have a problem with this. I don't really have a problem with this. It's something that kind of ties the Force together. You have it. You have a better ability to control the Force. People used to think of the Force as a mystical kind of thing that anyone can learn. Well, let's face it, the original trilogy, how many people were we previewed to that knew how to use the Force? We had Palpatine, we had Yoda, we had Obi-Wan, sure. But we also had Luke, Vader, and I just blanked on her name. Who am I looking? Leia. Luke, Vader, and Leia, which were all family. So guess what? The midichlorian thing, as much as people don't like it, it does actually work. It wasn't really needed as much, but it does actually work for the story. I don't have a problem with it like a lot of people do. Some of the actual animatronics that were in this movie, and there were some, it wasn't pure CG like a lot of people said. Some of them weren't good though, not even counting Yoda. Just some of the ones that were done for the aliens and everything just weren't done very well at all. So I just want to put that out there. Like, just because it's in the movie doesn't mean it's going to work, and it clearly didn't work. Also, I did not really enjoy Anakin's little last scene there, with blowing up the ship and everything, and which took out the droids and all that for the Gungan battle. I didn't particularly like the Gungan battle that much, because it was mostly there for humor, and I didn't like Anakin, being up in the ship and everything and doing what he did. I understand why they did it. Again, you can parallel that to episode 4, so I get why it happened. That doesn't mean I enjoyed it. So, I don't know. I get where they were going from, but I don't appreciate it in the movie, and I don't enjoy it in the movie. But anyway, that's basically all I have to say on this. If I had to rate it, again, 1 through 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, I would actually give it a 5.4. Now, some of y'all might be thinking 5.4 is pretty high. Let me explain, though. I like Darth Maul, I like Palpatine, I like Obi-Wan. Yoda's fine for Yoda's little involvement, but realistically, I like the pod racing. I like the opening scene. I didn't mention that before, but I do like the opening scene with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. I do like the ending battle scene with them and with Padme and all that. I actually don't mind Padme as a character. Their escape from Naboo was done fine. I was okay with that. I didn't mind the kind of banter scene with the kind of government scene that they had where they were doing the debating on it. So my biggest problems I had with it were Jar Jar, which was a huge one. I didn't like how I didn't like how Darth Maul died, quote unquote, but I didn't like that. I didn't particularly like the last Gundam fight. It didn't bother me as much, but I didn't mind it. And realistically, there's nothing about this movie that I really hated. I didn't even really hate Jar Jar. I dislike Jar Jar. I think he was unnecessary, and he doesn't serve the plot particularly in any fashionable way. So I don't like him. I don't think he's relevant. But on the other hand, he wasn't mind-numbingly bad, as people tend to assume or tend to judge him, that I would, completely be like, oh, well, Phantom Menace sucks because of him. There's stuff that doesn't work. Not the entire plot doesn't fit together perfectly. It's not the story that we, were originally hoping for when it was coming out, but it is the story we got, and based upon the story we got, it is a decent story. It is there are parts of it that are somewhat, or that are entertaining, not somewhat entertaining. There are parts of it that are entertaining, and I think it gets a lot more crap than it probably deserves. So, that being said, that is my rating at a 5.4. But what do you guys think about it? I'm really curious to see where y'all go with this movie. I'm assuming I'm going to get a lot of people that hated this movie, and that's fine. There are reasons to hate this movie, I'm sure. But let me know. Did you hate this movie? Did you like this movie? Where do you fall on that? 5.4 is a decent rating. It is more positive than negative, but not by a whole lot. So that's just where it stands for me. There is a little more positive than negative to allow me to enjoy it and watch this movie more than one time. However, it's not up there with some other movies. So that's where I stand on it. But anyway, let me know, guys, in the comments below, and hopefully you enjoy this video and like it and subscribe to my channel. And like I said, I will be doing one of these once a month, and I will also be trying to include Clone Wars, so please stay tuned for that. Thanks.